Sam, the queen of rock and roll dogs.
Hi everyone, welcome to the show. You're listening to Vegas Rock Dog Radio, a rock and roll show all about pets, people, and pop culture. And today's show, we've got lots and lots of interesting topics for you today, such as whaling, pets, and I don't mean wailing as in crying, as in whales, whaling, pets and human medication, and why they don't go well together, and why I need glasses, still need glasses. So what I want you to do is stay right there, and we will be back to talk some more.
Vegas Rock Dog Radio. Pets, people, pop culture.
Welcome to the show, everyone. So glad that you are here today. I am live from Las Vegas and got a very interesting show for you today. But before we actually get started, let me tell you where you can connect with me and the show on the internet. Now, our main website is vegasrockdogradio.com. That's the hub for the show, and this is where you would listen live. This is where you would catch up on a previous show, and you'd also listen to our pet tip of the day. So that's vegasrockdogradio.com. Now, if you're a fan of Periscope, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, you will find us at either Vegas Rock Dog or Vegas Rock Dog Radio. Just do a little search and you'll find us. So you'll find us on your favorite platforms. Now, if you like rock and roll gear, and if you didn't know this, we have a clothing company, and we've had this company for 10 years, and it's called Vegas Rock Dog. Our website, vegasrockdog.com. We started off with dog clothing, rock and roll dog clothing, and then had some human stuff made for ourselves. People loved it. Then we added in the human clothing. So that's vegasrockdog.com. It's more than clothing, it's accessories. Hop on over there and you'll see what we have on offer for you and your pets. Also, we have a blog, and the blog is called therockandrolldog.com. This is where I do reviews and giveaways, mainly reviews and giveaways, and I tell you who's coming on the show, and we put the archive show back up on there as well. Lots of great giveaways. Coming up, I'm going to be having some gift guides that I'm working on right now. Gift guides for pets and their parents. And I'm trying to curate the best of the best and the most fun and most unique gifts that you can find. What else do we have to tell you? Oh, yeah. And if you do listen to a show, you're either listening on our website or you're listening through an app for, what they call a podcast catcher. And what a podcast catcher does is updates my show every single week. And you'll see the new show on there. Your most popular ones that I would say most people have are iTunes. You'll find us on iTunes. You'll also find us on iHeartRadio, another very, very popular app, and about 20 other apps. So, Podbay, Casta, you'll find us. You will find us. So, as I say, most people will be on iTunes or iHeartRadio. Then you've got the show at your fingertips. But we do love it when people listen live. There's something very exciting about live radio. I love live radio. I tell you why I love live radio and why I love live TV. And I do a fair bit of TV as well. Just the sheer fact that something could go wrong is really kind of exciting to me. You know, how do you recover? It shows that you're human, and it shows that you're not perfect. And so that's why I particularly love radio and TV. And in the beginning, I used to be worried about what went out live because you can't take that back. And once I got over that, and this was many years ago, once I got over that, then I was even more free on the radio, which I really, really, really enjoy. So if you do like listening live, we're always live Saturdays, 10 a.m. And I'm going to be adding another show that's live in the week. And eventually we'll be streaming the radio show and all its archives 24 hours a day. So you'll be able to pick up on something. We do have incredible guests that come on the show, and we try and cover as many topics as possible regarding animals. Even though we're called Vegas Rock Dog Radio, it is about all animals and causes and great people and professionals and experts and people that are generally doing great things with animals. So you'll find that past shows will still be very interesting to you. It's evergreen content. You'll learn about great people and great information. So, and always remember with this show, don't substitute anything that we talk about on the show for your veterinarian's advice and expertise. So always consult your veterinarian. No matter what you read and what you hear and what you see in any kind of media, always consult your veterinarian first. And I do it myself. I hear something and I'll ask my vet, is this something I should be adding to my pet's diet? I've just been reading up about this. And she'll say, yep, you can add that. Or, no, maybe you should try this instead. So never substitute that. I think we're all in a position where we tend to kind of diagnose everything and do everything through the internet these days. You Google something, I don't know, I've got pain in my head, and before you realize it, you think you've got 20 other ailments. So I think we're all guilty of that. So like I say, talk to your veterinarian first. Now here's how I want to start the show this week is with my pet tip of the week. And I'd like to bring you something that's new and different, maybe something you didn't think about, maybe something brand new you didn't know about. And also any way that we can help you save time, save money, and generally be the best pet parents we possibly can be. So this is one. And I spoke to Jim about this. Pets eating medications are one of the top reasons why pets become very ill, and another reason why pets actually die. And so being careless when taking your medication, I'm saying careless, I mean, you may have never even thought about how you took your medication, but you think about how you do take your medication or how you take your vitamins, or as Jim would say, vitamins, yeah? He's not here to do the bilingual thing for me today. So if no matter what side of the pond you're on, you're getting the whole British version today. So basically, think about, where do I take my medications? So do I take them in the same place every day? Do I take them in the bathroom? Do I take them in the kitchen? Do I take them out of, say, the pantry and then take them to, say, a countertop to take them? How do you take your medications? Do you have them in your purse, in one of those, in your handbag, in one of those pill organizers? These are things you've got to think about, because if your pets actually get their paws on them, you're going to be in trouble. You're going to have an emergency on your hands, more than likely. So, excuse me. So I asked Jim. Now, I'm terrible when it comes to vitamins. I mean, I'm one of those people that if I remember, oh, great. If I don't, oh, well, kind of people. Jim is very habitual and very, very good. And if you listen again for the first time, Jim's my husband. He's very habitual. He's like clockwork, never forgets. And it just never crosses my mind half the time, to be honest with you. But he does take his out of the pantry and then walks over to the counter, takes a drink, or he pours them into his hand. And of course, when you think about that, there's a risk of that dropping on the floor. And we all know our pets can move at the speed of lightning speed of light. Well, and they're like lightning too, to grab anything, be it a crumb, be it a fork that you drop on the floor. They are in like Flynn, like we say. So that can be a very, very big risk. And so I'd asked Jim, how do you take yours? And he said, well, I take it out the pantry and I put it on the kitchen side. So from now on, and I had to remind him, I said, well, how did your dad always eat fruit? Yeah, especially fruit that was very juicy, always over the sink, because he didn't want to drop it. Didn't want to drop, any fruit or fruit juice dripping. And so Jim's going to hopefully adopt, I hope, taking his medication, he doesn't take medication. He's a big supplementation guy, and take that over the sink to avoid that. So if you do it in the bathroom, do exactly the same thing. Do it over the sink. And if you are carrying them around in your handbag, you've really got to have a special spot for your handbag anyway. I talked about this in a previous show, and I'd asked friends. I like to poll friends, and I'd said, what's in your purse right now? What's in your handbag right now? Well, the list was insane. Some of the things was crazy. I mean, absolutely crazy. But that list, I would say 99% of the things in people's handbags are dangerous to your pets, from leaving a bar of chocolate in there, a mirror compact. They can chew that, cut their mouths open, medication, extra, those, I don't know what they call them. It's like an extra little battery power thing for your cell phone. There are so many things that your pets can get into in your handbag and end up in a bad situation. So if you do keep your medications or your supplementation in your handbag, like I said before with the tips before, always have this designated spot where that goes way, way, way away from your pets, just to be on the safe side. There's so many things we can avoid. Just takes a minute, get into the habit of it, and it'll make a world of difference. And you won't have to second guess, when I do it myself. I second guess everything anyway. Did I unplug this? Did I lock that? And that's get into this habit of doing the same thing the same way every single time. We call them protocols at home. It's ridiculous. But we have protocols. I mean, one of them is that when we come in through our garage, that the door into the house must not be opened until the garage door touches the ground. I don't care if it's an inch above. I said, if you change from one time to the next, you end up making mistakes. And I don't want my dogs running out as fast as they can and squeezing under that garage door. It's the last thing I need. So we have these protocols, and we just laugh at each other. We're like, protocol! So do the same thing when it comes to your medications and your supplements. So here's another thing. If you end up in that situation where your pet has got hold of any of those things, it's not going to, it's not going to read the bottle and say, oh, take one a day. It's going to chomp down on the whole thing. And that's why you're going to get in a bad place. And don't waste any time. Just get to your veterinarian immediately. The great thing is now with cell phones, and I had a situation yesterday, Jim had gone to rehearsal and he'd left his phone at home, which was one, I had to then manage two phones because I had to leave the house. So I'm managing all these calls and texts and this, that, and the other. But it was horrible not being able to get hold of him. It was horrible. I just kept thinking, how did we cope before? So my point is the great thing, because we've got our phones, is you can save lots of time. You can get in the car and whoever's with you can be calling the veterinarian. We're on our way. You don't have to waste any time, and just make your way to your veterinarian straight away. If you can call ahead and give them a heads up, they will, sometimes they can instantly say, calm down, it's going to be okay. We're going to be able to do this, or this is an emergency, get in immediately. So that's the best thing about cell phones is great communication, and make your way over to the vet so they can be taken care of. And so the other thing I wanted to talk about was, so once you've established yourself, you've got this routine and everything. Think about medications as well. This is slightly off the tip here, but human medication is generally not meant for pets. In fact, there are a few things that you can give your pet that you would give to yourself, like Benadryl and those kind of things. However, you've got to be given the guidance by your veterinarian. It's very specific how they calculate, the dosage and which type of medication you can give them that you can give to yourself. Do not take it upon yourself to read it, like I said, off the internet and say, what do I do? And someone gives you advice and it's a friend, and I know they mean well, but don't do it. Get the veterinarian's advice. If there's something that you can use, human medication. I mean, I used a Benadryl not long ago, and I still call the vet first. And even though I have this information from my vet anyway, I still call just to double check. And it was a sting situation with one of the pets. So always call ahead of time. Don't take it upon yourself to decide. And certainly not all medications are suitable for pets at all. So that's my pet tip of the day. Be safe with medications and your supplementation. And make sure you don't take it upon yourself to decide what they can have and what they can't have. Ask your veterinarian. There you go. That's my pet tip of the week. I had something fun happen this week. Really, really fun. One of the best things. It's nothing. Well, I can kind of tie it into pets. And that is, there's this great comedian that I love. He's an impersonator in England, and his name is Stevie Ricks. he is a major animal lover. So, of course, there's extra points come along with that anyway. But an amazing, amazing entertainer. Amazing. Funny. And what he does mainly is he takes a lot of these aging rock stars that we have, particularly in Britain, and he does these comedy skits. And sometimes he has them in very funny situations. So, for example, he'll have Paul McCartney making a cup of tea in his house, but it's not some big fabulous house. It's just some ordinary house. It's just funny. And he does, the Bee Gees. He does Ozzy Osbourne. And Freddie Mercury is my absolute favorite. He does Freddie Mercury from the 70s all the way through. And for me, it's just one of those things that just really, really, really makes me laugh. Really makes me laugh. Anyway, a friend of mine, Andy Walmsley, and I'm sure he won't mind me mentioning his entire name. He's a big set designer for TV, both this side of the pond and over in England as well. And most notably, American Idol is one of his set designs, as well as Biggest Loser. Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and that's over, I think it's 20 years old now, which is crazy. And that's the whole of the story. The show's currently here in town, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. So we went with Andy, and he took the original model, small miniature model of the set that he made back then. Now they don't do it that way. They do it in, computers. And it was a fantastic moment. And I'm not sure when the episode comes up, but we're sat right behind the contestants. And that was really, really fun. Well, anyway, he's British also. He's a big fan of Stevie Ricks. He knows how much I love it. And he sent me this video. And this video, I couldn't open. I had the biggest nightmare opening the email, then downloading it. Once I downloaded it, couldn't play it. Oh, it took me, I jumped through some hoops. It took a couple of days. And he was really anxious for me to play this video. Well, when I finally got it to play, and I was like, oh, he sent me a Stevie Ricks video. Brilliant. Freddie Mercury. And then he starts the skit. And then Freddie Mercury mentions my name. I'm looking at the video. What is this? What is this? And Andy had reached out to Stevie Ricks and had this video made for me. And basically to say, thanks for being such a great friend, one of my best friends. And it was hilarious. And Stevie Ricks is saying, I think you're fabulous, and Andy thinks you're fabulous too, and I've got a song for you. And he sings me this song, and I was howling, laughing, because it was so funny, but also like cry laughter, because I was like, oh, that is the nicest thing that someone did for me. And so so that's what I was really, really excited about. And I say, he's a big, big animal lover. I'm going to definitely reach out and try and get him on the show. I reached out to him one time before, and this is another Vegas story. I was working with Dominic Allen, and I was working with Denny Lane. And now you may know Denny Lane's name. He was the founder of Wings with Paul McCartney, and he also was the founder of Moody Blues. Hello. Very nice guy, funny English guy. We had a great time working together. We were working on a reality show. Anyway, we went out one night, and I didn't know if he knew this, but Stevie Ricks had done a skit on Denny Lane, and I didn't know if he knew that. And so I mentioned it. I said, "Hey, Denny," I said, "What do you think of this? What do you think of Stevie Ricks? Do you know him?" He goes, "Oh gosh, the guy's genius. I love him." I said, "So you've seen the skit of you then?" He goes, "It's brilliant. It's brilliant." I said, "Well, what does Paul McCartney think of it?" He goes, "He thinks it's brilliant too." Well, the funny thing is, that night I get on Facebook, and Stevie Ricks was on Facebook, and I messaged him. I did a private message, and I just said, "Oh, I just had this night out with Denny Lane, and he thinks it's brilliant, and Paul thinks you're brilliant too." And he said, "Oh, you have no idea. That made my day. That's totally made my day." He says, "I'm a bit nervous about doing Paul because, you never know how people are going to react." And so that's my big tie-in with Stevie Ricks and the animal lover. But I would love to get him in on the show. And that's what happened to me this week. And I just thought it was the nicest thing. And I laughed, and I've watched it over and over and over and over and over again. So on that note, I think what I should do is take a quick break and let's listen to some commercials, and we'll see you on the other side. I've got lots more to talk about, so stay right there.
Vegas Rock Dog Radio. Pets, people, pop culture.
At Carl's Jr., not only do we make you happy with our delicious charbroil burgers, but we also make your dogs happy. When you come through our drive-thru with your furry friend, we'll offer your dog a treat. If not, always ask for one. We love to see their smiling faces. Our website, carlsjr.lasvegas.com, has a treat for its customers too, with free coupons anytime, so be sure to visit us regularly. Carl's Jr. is a proud and active supporter of dog adoption in our community. You can find us at Carl's Jr. of Las Vegas or on Twitter at Carl's Jr. of Vegas. Welcome to Barking Dogs Self-Wash and Grooming, your one-stop shop for all of your pet's needs. We offer premium natural pet foods, full-service grooming, and an on-site bakery and boutique. You can choose to self-wash your dog or schedule a luxury pampering with our professional groomers. Our new Cool Cat section offers feline food, toys, bedding, and litter, while the adventurous dog department has everything you need for your outdoor activities. Cody's Healing Garden is a special place featuring flower, aromatherapy, and herbal remedies for pets. Ask us about Karma Connection, our program supporting animal rescue. Find us at barkingdogslv.com and look for us on Facebook and Twitter. We look forward to seeing you at Barking Dogs Self-Wash and Grooming.
Vegas Rock Dog Radio. Pets, people, pop culture.
Welcome back, everyone. Thanks for sticking around on this day. So, what I want to talk about next, and if you're just tuning in, you're listening to Vegas Rock Dog Radio with me, Sam. I'm your host. I'm known as the Queen of Rock and Roll Dogs, and this show is about pets, people, and pop culture. There's a lot to talk about. There's a lot to talk about. It's not just about dogs. I know dogs in the name, but it's about all animals. So, here's what I want to talk about, and you probably know about this show, Whale Wars. Remember that? I haven't seen it recently. I have not seen it recently. I will say that. I'm wondering if there's going to be a new season that comes up. But Whale Wars was one of our favorite shows. And I haven't seen it in a while, but it was definitely a very intense show. And what they are basically, they are, you know what? They've been called pirates. They're not pirates, but they've been called pirates. But basically, they police the oceans, I would say, to stop the Japanese whalers killing whales. And the Sea Shepherd is the actual ship that they originally used to actually, stop these whaling seasons, either from starting or just disrupt them, so that they couldn't kill whales. And so Sea Shepherd now have a new weapon against these Japanese whalers, and they've now launched this brand new ship, and it's called the Ocean Warrior, and it's custom made. It's a custom made warship. It doesn't have guns. There's no guns, so they have to be very strategic in how they actually disrupt these whaling seasons once they're underway. And it's a custom made warship, and it was designed with bigger engines and a long distance fuel tank, because that was one of the issues that they had was, distance. How far can we go? Do we have enough fuel? Is the tank big enough? Is it fast? Is the vehicle? I guess it's a vehicle. is the ship fast enough for us to really do this work? And it's tough work. They've been doing it a very, very, very long time. And so Sea Shepherd, they are a group of anti-whaling activists. And don't be put off by the word activist, because it doesn't mean extremist. It doesn't mean extremist at all. I have friends who are activists, and they're not crazy. So I just think the media do that. And I think anyone that they're against does that. They say, "Oh, those crazy activists," but they're active in their causes. If you haven't seen their show, watch it. It is so amazing. You will hold your breath. You cannot believe what they do, and it's all volunteer based, which is phenomenal. So you get to meet these new people that come on the ship. Some have been doing this a long time. Some it's their first time. Lots of lessons to be learned, on the high seas. And Jim and I both know about that because we used to work on cruise ships. And so you have to learn how to get on with people. That's really important because you're stuck. You're stuck on that ship. So I always say if you can get on well with people on a ship in very tight quarters, and they really are, then you'll do well on land as well. Excuse me. And so, of course, the ocean, when these whaling season starts, definitely a dangerous place to be when you're trying to stop whales from being hunted and killed. And Sea Shepherd, they have this brand new ship now, and it was cost $12 million, custom built, and they say it's going to match the speed and endurance of Japan's whaling fleet. Now, Japan currently is in defiance of an international court ruling, and they're going to be a huge topic of conversation at this global summit. And the global summit is going to be held in Slovenia, which Jim kind of liked that idea because he's part Slovenian, so he thought that was fabulous. And so they're going to have a spotlight right on them because they are in defiance of this. And so everyone's going to be pointing the finger at them because they didn't, I think they last stopped whaling in 2014 and then just started it up all over again. How they get away with it, I don't really know. I mean, are international laws, are they enforceable? I don't really know those kind of details themselves. Well, anyway, the Sea Shepherd is going to sail this brand new ship to Australia first. It's going to make its inaugural voyage, I guess they call that, on its way out to Australia, and then it's going to head out to around about Antarctica area and embark on a journey, or like I like to say, this is like a battle, so to speak. So when you watch that show, it's crazy, and to stop these hunts from happening. Now, Sea Shepherd's Peter Hammerstead, he told Fairfax Media, his quote, "Our biggest challenge in our campaigns in the past has been that the Japanese whaling vessels have rammed us with their superior size, and they've outrun us with their superior speed. Sea Shepherd was able to specify engine size and other features for the Ocean Warrior, and but they said, so this is a vessel that they just will not be able to catch," which is great. It's so exciting, so exciting. Now, if you're familiar with the show, you'll know that they've never had a new vessel, and this is the first time they've had a purpose-built ship. And like I say, it's called the Ocean Warrior. Perfect name. They know the type of conditions that they have to work in. Therefore, to be able to specify their needs has got to be very exciting for them too. Like, wow, we've got something that really is going to work in our favor. And they've had previously the Bob Barker, and that was a refit. And then they had the Steve Irwin, and one of those ships was 65 years old. The other one was 40 years old. So can you imagine the technology of this brand new ship? I mean, just amazing. And of course, like I said, you can volunteer to work on the ship. And just note that if you do, you'll be eating vegan meals because that's what they do on board. And so you can volunteer not only on the ship, but you can also volunteer on land as well. They always need lots of help, whether it's physically volunteering or raising funds for them or donating. They always need help to fight against the whaling industry. And what these Japanese whaling ships would do is have these massive signs on the top of on the deck, basically on top of the ship. And once they've winched up a whale, and it's awful what you see. I'm not going to go into any detail, but you can imagine it's not nice at all. But they would have these massive signs saying, we're working on for killing whales, basically for scientific purposes. And so if the ship got close by, what was I going to say? Oh, yeah, so they would have these signs. I mean, we don't think they were doing anything for scientific purposes. That's the thing. And it was, they'd have these cannons, these water cannons that they would fire at the other ship coming in and ram them. And wow, I mean, they had another little ship. It's not even a ship. It looked like a spaceship. It looked like a UFO thing. I swear to God. And it was called the Adigil. And they would then deploy that from the ship to get as close as they possibly could. And they'd get, they'd get cannoned with this water. And eventually they did get rammed in a big, big way. Some of the crew members have been known to actually get on the Japanese whaling ships, and they've ended up getting arrested and going back to Japan and being in jail there. I mean, that's a whole other level of this show. And that just shows you how much these people really, really care about these animals, because Who would go and do that for no reason? They're doing this for such a good reason. And so in 2014, the International Court declared that scientific whaling was illegal. And I thought it was a great way to go about it. Sometimes you have to go in a different direction. You know they're not going to voluntarily stop doing that kind of thing. So to go a different direction makes so much sense. However, Japan has killed 33, and I want to say it's minke whales, M-I-N-K-E, minke whales, just this past summer, since the ruling. So they started up again. Clearly, they're not following the international laws, and Japan decided to exempt itself from the court's jurisdiction. I guess, wow. So if you can do that, then that's terrible. And then what they did is they drew up their own new guidelines for whaling, clearly to their own benefit. And what they've done is they've also doubled the size of the hunting grounds in the Southern Ocean. So this is making it even more difficult for these activist groups to track them down. That is until the new ship shows up, the new one shows up. But to make things even worse, the Japanese Institute of Research has been really promoting whale recipes on their site. And apparently the Japanese don't eat that much whale, so I'm assuming it's for export and other products. But to promote and say it's a great thing and here are some recipes, it's pretty awful, isn't it? It's going backwards. It's definitely going backwards. And, of course, there's been worldwide outrage, and over 95 countries have condemned the Japanese for ignoring these laws. So, yeah, the spotlight is on them. And this whaling commission is in Slovenia, and I think it's this month. And so I hope something good comes out of that. Now, as you would know, if you're you know, as a good military person would know, you're not going to give away your trade secrets and your plan on how you're going to fight a battle. And the Sea Shepherd are no different. All they'll say is that the Ocean Warrior comfortably tops 30 knots in recent sea trials. They're not going to give it all away. And the ship needs to be able to catch Japan's Harpoon ships, and they are confident it will. It also allows for a helicopter to land on board. That's another bonus. And all part of better tracking and speed and just being efficient and eyes in the sky, as they say. And, of course, Sea Shepherd takes donations, like I was saying earlier. But they did get this amazing grant from the Dutch Postcode Lottery. And that's what funded the ship. And so their goal is to just go out, disrupt these hunts, save lives, and also expose the world to what Japan is doing, you know, to the whale population. And I was reading, out of those 33 whales that they caught, there was something like 200 and something females who were pregnant. I think it was 99% of the females that were caught were pregnant. So this is making a big impact in a very, very negative way. And so, again, to quote Mr. Hammerstead, he said, accountability is important. The way that we see it is that the international community has now had 2 years to ensure that Japan complies with the law, and they just haven't done so. Our position is that the international community has failed the whales. So that gives us no other option than to head down to the Southern Ocean. And the Ocean Warrior is presently on its maiden voyage to Amsterdam for a launch with the Dutch Lottery, who funded this through this grant. And then, like I said, they're going to make their way on to Australia. And I'm going to try and find out if the show is still on TV. I'm sure it's on reruns somewhere. If anything, probably on YouTube. I would check their website, and that is seashepherd.org. Now, Paul Watson is the captain. Everybody knows Paul Watson from that white hair and that white beard. I think he just had a baby this week, if I'm not wrong. And this is their mission statement. They were established in 1977, Sea Shepherd Conservation Society, and is an international non-profit marine wildlife conservation organization. Our mission is to end the destruction of habitat and slaughter of wildlife in the world's oceans in order to conserve and protect ecosystems and species. Sea Shepherd uses innovative direct action tactics to investigate, document, and take action when necessary to expose and confront illegal activities on the high seas. By safeguarding the biodiversity of our delicately balanced ocean ecosystems, Sea Shepherd works to ensure their survival for future generations. And you can find out a lot more about Sea Shepherd just by hopping over to their website. They do have a laws and charters that guides their activities. They have a mandate as provided by the UN World Chapter for Nature as well. And they have an equality statement which outlines the truth about what does and doesn't motivate their work. And of course, they're a volunteer-based organization, so you can volunteer on land and sea, or from far away on your computer by making a donation. And you can find the information on their website, so just know if you're on board, if you get on board, let me know. And number 2, you'll be eating those vegan meals and tell me how good they are. And what they do is they basically defend all ocean life. So that's the Sea Shepherd, and we'll keep up to date on that. I think it's pretty exciting what's happening over there. Well, let's take one more break. Can I have a couple of things to talk about coming up on the show, and this is one that's going to get you pretty mad and fired up and want to actually do something. So we'll be right back. You're listening to Vegas Rock Dog Radio with me, Sam, your host, the Queen of Rock and Roll Dogs.
Vegas Rock Dog Radio. Pets, people, pop culture.
Pet Scene Magazine is dedicated to Las Vegas pets and the people who love them. It's a source of news and information for pet lovers, as well as offering valuable coupons and specials on pet products and services. Find them online at www.lvpetscene.com or look for them on Facebook.
Vegas Rock Dog Radio. Pets, people, pop culture.
Welcome back, everyone. So this is what I want to talk about now. This had me very, very upset, very, very upset, and it will have you upset too, but I hope it springs you into some kind of action so that we can help the owners of, I hate to say the word Pitbull because we know it's not a breed. Pitbull is like saying unicorn. I mean, it's ridiculous. But basically, bully breeds, we call them bully breeds, and that can be many kinds of dogs, but a lot of people will identify them because they've got, big blocky square heads and whatever. But basically, Montreal is putting a ban on dogs that do have square heads. This is what they've proposed in a new law. It's a ban, basically. It's a ban. And it seems to me like a knee-jerk reaction to, and we can't seem to get full details, but apparently either a dog bite or attack. I'm not quite sure. Can't get to the bottom of it, but it sounds like a knee-jerk reaction because this got put together. I'm saying put together. It's not really put together, but it was presented in a very quick way. And I don't think with a lot of thoughts either. So, one in itself, why are we banning any of these dogs? I mean, we're going backwards again. Like I said, we're going backwards, and this is in Montreal. And unfortunately, that law did pass. It passed. I talked about it last week and was in my head thinking that's ridiculous. It's never going to pass. And sure enough, that Monday, it passed. And I think there were 36 council members that said yes to it. I want to know, were there any animal lovers on there? Because anyone that said this is terrible, what we're going to do, we're going to put so many dogs in danger, and we're going to stress out our population of pet parents with a dog that looks like it might have a square head, or in their opinion, a Pitbull. And so I was very upset that it passed. And it's terrified the owners, and no one really knows what's going on. They're trying to find information. It sounds like well, let's pass this, and then we'll figure out all the other details after the fact, which is never good enough when it comes to a law. Anyway, they've clearly done this without any science-based information. I'm not sure they can't have consulted any professional that specializes in dog behavior. They can't have done, because they would have said no, that's not how it works, because no breed is born inherently vicious or aggressive, period. Science has proved that. So it tells me they didn't actually consult the right people. That's what I think has probably happened. Or maybe they did consult the wrong people. Oh, don't know. I mean, not a lot of people are up on the latest science when it comes to animals, and a lot of those people are not up on the latest training techniques either. And so, as I say, last week I was just mortified, and then to find it actually did pass was just really, really, really bad. Well, anyway, this law just what it is about this law is it's discriminatory. It really is. And they're just going to do it by eyeballing a vet. They're just going to visually identify. I mean, gosh, anybody could say anything. And they're saying if you've got this breed, you're going to have to come forward. You're going to have to get a license. You're going to do the chip. You're going to have to do the spay neuter, and of course there's a fee with it. But what do you do if you can't afford that fee? You risk having your dog euthanized. And the word euthanized is only reserved for pets where you cannot help an animal. You cannot. The veterinarian says there's nothing we can do. This dog's been in a horrific car accident. There's nothing. And the most humane thing we can do is not allow this animal to suffer. And that's euthanization. When it's just arbitrarily killing animals because they look a certain way, that's killing animals. And that must be a terrible position for any veterinarian or vet tech to be in, confronted with that. And if it was me and I was a veterinarian, I would not be working in any facility that they would say, oh, this dog looks like it's got a square head, therefore it's got to go. And I would be I couldn't even cope. But I wouldn't even work for an organization like that anyway. And so you've got that aspect of it. What do you do about people who have got service dogs who look like they've got a square head? So are they now going to be discriminated against when these dogs actually are a lifeline for people? Too many unknowns. Far too many unknowns. Where'd you get the license from? No one seemed to know this. If we come forward, is it a trap? I can't afford to license. What do I do now? Do I hide my dog? It's just terrible. A terrible thing to do, and a terrible thing to do to the residents of Montreal. It really, really is very, very bad. So from this, as I say, lots and lots of unknowns, and I do know that I want to call it the SPCA out there, is actually suing the city to basically, get some kind of get this ban banned. let's not let this go forward. It doesn't make any sense. It's a terrible thing to do to animals. It's a terrible thing to do to the pet owners and also to the rescues. Now the rescues were panicking, and as this was all being talked about, they were mobilizing. Rescues were mobilizing with other rescues outside of Montreal to get the dogs out. To get them out. I know that some of these pilot programs were flying dogs out. And in my network of friends, people saying, I'm working with this rescue. They've got room for X amount of dogs that they can pull out of Montreal, because it seems that with this law that if these types of dogs were in these shelters and rescues, they would just be killed. They would just be, that's it. They look this way. They've got to go. Now, what, for example, if you lost your dog that day? Say you lost your dog the night before that this law passed, and you are looking for your dog, and it ends up that day that law has passed, and next thing you know, they've killed your dog. So, how does that work? Too many unknowns. Who cares about the unknowns? It shouldn't even happen in the first place. So we're going to have on some experts. We're going to have some advocates on, and we're going to have some professionals in the veterinary world come on, and let's talk about this ridiculous proposal and see how we can get involved. One of them, of course, is contacting the city of Montreal, even if you don't live there. I do know, I think it was 200 attorneys? Members of the American Bar Association had expressed their disgust with this and how it was just like, what century are we living in right now? I think Pamela Anderson got involved. And it's good when you can get some celebrity names. I know people get mad about celebrities, but they do bring a lot of attention to these causes. And she's one of them. She represents a lot of organizations. And so we'll talk to these professionals, how we can help, how we can make these changes and educate our friends. I've literally had people say to me, Pitbulls, can't stand them. They need to get rid of them. And I go, why? And there's nothing that they say makes any sense. And I say, well, if you had a problem with a Pitbull type in the past, a bully breed, they go, no, I've never met one. I said, where have you got this information from? Well, the news, you know, and you know what? The media has a lot to do with that, with your perception. You may not have met a bully breed, but you might have seen them focus on a dog bite, and trust me, it's not bully breeds that do most of the bites. And so it's, you know, it's entertainment, it's sensational, it terrifies you. It's like looking at a brand new ride at, say, I don't know, Universal Studios, and going, oh, I'm terrified of that. But you've never been on it. You've never been on it. But the media's like, this is like the craziest, scariest ride ever. You know, you'll be a wreck after it. And you might just believe that when you actually watch that. So the media has a lot of responsibility, and what I have seen, and this is very upsetting, you can't have a media outlet who has vilified bully breeds over and over and over again, and then when this ban came up, then they're putting out articles saying this is terrible, you know, that they would do this. Well, I think it's terrible that you vilified those breeds in the first place, and so I'm not into that. That's to me, very, very upsetting. So next week, yes, tune in Saturday, 10 a.m. We're going to have some experts calling into the show. We're going to get their opinions and the advocates too, what we can do, how we can take action. And I know a lot of people think, oh, really, signing a petition? Really? Yeah, it helps. I've seen so many great things come from petitions. Of course, you've got to try and find where the official petition is coming from. And is it going to go to the correct place, organization, government, you know, department, whatever that you do need to know. You need to know, where will these be presented, all these signatures? Okay, that's the official, you know, place. Great, get involved. But it is one of those things that really does make an impact. One of those things recently was Compassion Works International, and underneath that umbrella, and that's headed up by Carrie LeBlanc. We've had her on the show before. She's a resident here in Vegas. So glad to have her. I think she's the only international animal advocacy organization in our state, if I'm not wrong. Anyway, she, underneath her umbrella, she deals with a lot of animal issues. One of them is animals in entertainment, in particular circus. So circus protest is one of hers. If you've seen a circus protest, it's probably one of her, one that she's organized. And it's not just national, but it's international as well, and making great strides. And she's very serious about what she does, and very just, here's the task at hand, and this is what we're doing. And just very grounded and very steady. And that's great in an organization. And so she'd reached out to, I think, oh gosh, where was it in Arizona? I can't remember where it was in Arizona. It's very recent. And there was an elephant trunk show coming to town that I think has been a 14-year tradition. And so there was a big effort to raise awareness, contact the right people, and well, essentially the city said, yeah, nope, not coming anymore. We're done. And that was 14 years. They put the end to that horrible tradition of elephants coming in to their city. So it does work. It really, really does work. So when you do see those things, just share them. They make all the difference. Spread the word, and let's all make a difference together. So the last thing I wanted to mention is kind of a funny thing. But I seem to have these episodes where I mistake all kinds of things for animals. And, you know, those memories pop up on Facebook. Well, it popped up this blog post that I wrote. So I thought I would just read that off here, give you a good giggle before the end of the show. And so the topic was, the title was, do I need glasses or am I simply dog crazy? Over the past weeks, I've had friends laughing at some funny incidents. All of them have a theme, mistaken identity. There's one that I do laugh at even to this day because it was one of the funniest things that I ever did of anything I've done involving animals. And so mistaken identity number one. My family were in Vegas and we were all in the car driving around, and we'd stopped at a red light, and I just looked over to the grass next to me and I freaked out. So did my sister, that there was a dog. It was either dead or injured laying in the grass. So all of us were really upset and about to pull over when we realized it wasn't a dog at all. It was a reddish brown colour. It was that colour of the King Charles Spaniel and how that fur looks. But upon closer inspection, we were relieved to see it was a piece of palm tree. The bark comes off and it's that reddish colour, and it looks like it's got fur on it, and it'd fallen off the tree. It was just laid in the grass, and it was kind of one of those like relieved laugh, but you're almost like hysterical because you thought it was something really, really bad. So that was mistaken identity number one. Number two, this one happened one morning. I was driving from the gym to a coffee shop, driving past one of the biggest parks in Vegas. It's called Sunset Park, and it's a park that's known for people dumping unwanted dogs. And it was a really windy day, and so coming towards me as I'm driving on the pavement was a small white dog moving really, really quickly. And my instant reaction was, oh gosh, no, there's a dog loose or someone's abandoned this dog. So I just kept my eye on it, trying to figure out a place where I could pull over until it was right by me in the vehicle, only to see that it was a white plastic grocery bag blowing in the wind along the street. I thought, oh my gosh, I really need new glasses more than anything. So that was number two. And number three was I'm back in my car again. And this time I'm in a really open area. There's a few homes and some businesses, but a very, very undeveloped desert, basically. And as I'm driving, I see the cars ahead of me slamming their brakes on and swerving. I thought, oh gosh, what's going on now? So I slowed down, anticipated having to do the exact same thing as they were, which was just to stop, whatever it was. And as I get closer, I saw this large dog, and it very much looked like a German Shepherd, and it ran straight across the road into the desert. And there's nothing scarier than that, just running in and out of traffic. So I kept my eye on the dog, and I took a quick right turn into this small road where I could see it, and it was all desert land. And I stopped my vehicle, I got out. I had my phone on me, and I have the video somewhere. And I'm going to try and get this dog and secure it to stop it from getting injured or killed in that traffic. And as I get closer and closer, and I'm being cautious, of course, I realized this big dog was a coyote. I swear to God. I mean, it looked young, but it was of a really decent size. It did look hungry, though, and it definitely looked, it was shaken up. And so, because I live in an area where coyotes are very common, they've been pushed out of their natural habitat due to the development. So, you will see them. I've seen them on my driveway in the morning. And but I did stand there in just awe of this beautiful creature. But I felt really sad that it had been pushed out of where it lives. Now it's dodging traffic. And so after about 5 minutes, I just stayed there, and it looked around, and then it looked at me directly in my eyes, and then it moved quickly off into the desert, and it was gone. And it was the most beautiful thing ever. Most beautiful thing I've ever seen. And so the last thing, I still do this. I still do it. This is crazy. And I was at home. I was working from home. I had my, my laptop on my lap as I worked. And it still cracks me up. This is the one that's just funny. When I posted what I'd done, and I posted it on Facebook, my friends thought it was hysterical. For once, it didn't happen in my car. And I was sat at home. I was in my comfy IKEA Powang chair. My dogs were by my side on their bed. And I was working, on my computer. And I have to use a cushion for an armrest, and it was just a really lovely afternoon. All three of us were all relaxed. So this was before I had Mr. Twix. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been relaxed. And I'd been typing a lot, so I took a bit of a rest from typing, and I just leaned over to pet my dogs, only to find myself petting the brown cushion that had fallen off my chair. I thought, if anyone sees this, they can think I've lost it. But here's the kicker. I did it again, like 20 minutes later. I did it again, and I've done it since then. I don't know. I do need new glasses. I clearly need new glasses. So I think, yeah, I do need new glasses. And yes, and the crazy dog lady. But do know this. If I ever see a dog running, it happens to be yours, you'll just know I will stop. I will stop, and I will save them for you. So just know that. But oh my gosh, that was funny. I thought, is anything else I can mistake for an animal? But when you work with animals so much, you just have animals on your brain constantly. I mean, constantly. It's just part of my life. It's just part of my life. So so there you go. Well, before I actually close the show out today, I want to actually sort of dedicate this show to Itchy, and that is my friend's cat, Will Edwards, friend of mine. He has a late night talk show here on TV, and he lost one of his cats, Itchy, and he said, never in my life have I cried as much as I did when I lost Itchy. And we sat down and we had a little coffee over it, and we both cried in the coffee shop. We didn't care if anyone was looking at us, because it's always nice to be with someone that understands what you're feeling. There's nothing worse than someone saying it was just a cat, which, we hear that often, and it's terrible, and we're not friends with those kind of people. But I wanted to dedicate this show to Itchy. He never had pets growing up, so this was a big thing for him. And he's Mr. Itchy now. Like we say, they go over the Rainbow Bridge, and they're always healthy and happy once they get over to the other side. And take some comfort in that when your pets pass away, they knew you their entire life. And I don't mean, because sometimes you adopt, you don't know from the beginning of their life, but they knew you to the last minute. And so they didn't have to suffer not having you in their life. Generally, that's how it goes. It's not very often that the owner passes away, and then the pets are left by themselves. It's usually the way around, because we know they don't have as long a life as we do. So take some comfort in that they always knew you were there, and they didn't know a life without them. But for us, it is really hard without them. But I always say it's always worth the price of admission, because if we avoided getting pets because we worry about how painful it is when they pass away, you'd never have them in your life. So it's I think it's something to think about. It's something to think about, and they're worth it. They are so worth the sadness. Otherwise, they won't be there. So that's my little tribute to Itchy. It's been a great show. I've really, really enjoyed today's show. We've covered quite a few different things. Next week's show will prove to be very interesting when we talk more about this ban on these breeds. And it's I just hope that it all gets overturned. I hope it all gets overturned. I don't even want it modifying. I just want it to go away. So I want to thank you for listening into the show. It's been really, really fun. And remember, you can always help an animal in need. Either rescue, adopt, donate, volunteer, or share their information on social media. Rescue your next family member and replace that word shop with adopt. And always be kind to all animals. It's really simple. It's been an honor having you listening in today. And if you get a chance, find us on social media. Say hello. We love to interact, in particular on Twitter. That's one of our favorite places. Show us your pets. Tell us all about them so we can get to know you a little bit more and your pets. And today you've been listening to Vegas Rock Dog Radio, where it is all about pets, people, and pop culture. And always kiss your pets. Good morning and good night. And I'll see you next time. Bye, everyone.
You've been listening to Vegas Rock Dog Radio. Pets, people, pop culture.